The Blue Bayou.
That Blue Bayou, though.
Nope.
Sorry.
That's not what we're gonna say.
Okay. We had a reservation for 8:40 p.m., which I think is like the latest reservation we have ever had for a restaurant at Disneyland.
Yeah, we were staying at a hotel, so like being able to eat that late is kind of a luxury. Normally 8:40 p.m. is approaching bedtime, and we wouldn't be going to eat dinner at such an hour.
Because we old. When we got to the Blue Bayou to wait for our reservation, we were already pretty tired.
Yeah, we went on a Friday night. It was after a day of work. We sat in like 2 hours of traffic, drove up to Disneyland, got to New Orleans Square, and arrived at the restaurant. You can only check in 20 minutes before, so I think we checked in right at 8:20.
Okay.
And then proceeded to stand awkwardly about 20 yards away from the entrance.
Yeah. We went into the new gift shop.
Yeah.
To kill some time.
Yeah. The Tiana's.
The Eudora's. Yeah. It's named after her mom. Eudora's Chic Boutique.
Oh, very good.
That's it. And I remember when we got out, we spent literally 2 minutes in there killing time. We were like, great, let's kill 2 minutes. And then we stood outside the shop and there was a stroller there, parked there. And I stood there and just kind of stared off and you're like, why don't we move away from the stroller so that it doesn't look like we're gonna steal something?
Yeah. So then we moved over by the caricature artist.
Yeah.
And stared at Blue Bayou from a distance, hoping to be called.
Yep.
And we did that for about 20 minutes and never got called. We had checked in, but it had been a while since our reservation time and we hadn't been called yet. So we finally walked up to the person at the front of the restaurant,
right?
And she said okay, and then checked us in and then invited us into the lobby to wait. So it felt kind of like we could have done that without checking into the app first, and maybe that's the way to go for the future so that you don't stand awkwardly next to someone's stroller.
Yeah, because the lobby area was pretty big. It felt like it was meant to have a few parties waiting. Yeah. And it did feel like we were the only ones waiting outside in the cold.
We were only inside for 5 to 10 minutes before they called our names. And then we were invited into the restaurant.
I thought the decorations were amazing. I didn't really understand until I was sitting in the restaurant that you're supposed to feel like you're sitting outside.
Yeah, the big tree definitely helped with that.
Yeah, there were a lot of details that made you feel like you were outside. First of all, it was dark, so it felt like it was nighttime. And then the lanterns that were hanging above you also gave an outdoor feel. And you already said the trees.
Yes, and you were kind of they had the facade of a nice bayou home inside of the restaurant, so it felt like you were on the front porch of this very expensive home.
Yeah, it even had the facade even had a balcony.
We both looked through the menu. I ordered the pork shank, and the reason for that being that I had a delicious pork chop some years before at the Lamplight Lounge, and I was hoping that this would be similar to that. And I still have very fond memories of that pork chop. And someday I'll get it again.
How did it compare?
I like the other one better.
Yeah.
It was kind of a mild disappointment. It wasn't as juicy as the pork chop at the Lamplight Lounge. It was still very tasty, and the potatoes that came with it and the sauces were really good on the plate.
Yeah.
All the flavors mixed together well, but it was fine. It was a fine pork shank.
What was the sauce?
Some mildly spicy. I don't even recall what the flavor was.
It wasn't memorable really.
No. But
and
it was
came
good.
with potatoes?
Yeah.
Mashed potatoes and...
I ate every last bit of it. What about your fish?
Mostly I was just excited that this had rice, so I was like, I'm getting that. Because I can eat it with rice. It was a branzino, which is a European bass. It was really good. It's probably the best fish I've had in a while, but it was just really milky almost. like really soft and juicy. It was supposed to have like a pineapple fried rice. First of all, the rice was like white and fluffy and didn't look fried at all, really. It just tasted like regular rice with just a tiny hint of like some kind of citrus flavor. It was like maybe slightly, very slightly sweet, but just barely. So it just felt like I was just eating fish with with regular steamed rice, even though it was supposed to be fried.
This cheesecake that had a word that started with a B, and it was French. Bosque? Was it Bosque
Yeah,
cheesecake?
you're right. You're right. Good memory.
Kind of like a cross between like a Japanese cheesecake and like a New York cheesecake, where it was almost more cake-like than like an American cheesecake is very creamy and very smooth, and it was like a little more cooked than that, and like a souffle quality to it. And so overall, the experience was really fun. The ambiance was definitely a highlight, like going there, really escaping from the atmosphere of the parks and being able to feel like you're sitting in a quiet outdoor restaurant.
It was definitely romantic. Like, that's the overall feel I got. Just perfect to bring with your significant other. It's one of those places where you gotta go at least once.
You know, the pricing is on the level of like the Carthay Circle and the Lamplight Lounge, probably, and I probably preferred both of those food-wise.
Yeah,
but
this was definitely more for experience.
Atmosphere-wise.
And ambiance, yeah. Overall, what would you give it, like, an overall rating?
Like out of 10?
Like out of 10, yeah. 8.5?
Yeah, that's about where I would settle.
Yeah.
I think that's a reasonable...
Would recommend, would go again.
Yeah.
Just not very often.
Definitely not a place that you're going to go to, like, once a week. It's not the easiest to find reservations for.
That's true. That's why we ended up here. Because we saw a reservation open up. Like, we hadn't seen a reservation open up for Blue Bayou in...
Yeah, we just happened to check.
I think,
we happened to open it at the right time when there was a reservation open on a day that we were going to go, and so we took it and had a nice romantic dinner together.
Yep.